بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والجنة الموحدين وعدوان إلى على الظالمين اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد في الأولين اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد في الآخرين اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد في الملأ الأعلى إلى يوم الدين. I greet one and all, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Jamad al-Muslimin, we find ourselves on the day of Yawm al-Jumu'ah. We don't find ourselves at a program where we're going to sleep. So we need to be alive, inshallah. Because your aliveness gives my soul aliveness. And then we can have a good afternoon, inshallah. So we're going to try that again. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. That's much better. That's much better. We're alive. We're alive. I was a bit confused. Am I speaking to the marhum or am I speaking to the living ones? We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept this day of Yawm al-Jumu'ah. May Allah ta'ala grant our ruh to taste the sweetness of Iman. We praise and we thank our Lord Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is wal-awwal and who is wal-akhir, who is the first without beginning and who is the last without end. We send peace and blessings and endless salutations upon our Master, Sayyidina Muhammadin sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent to you and I as a rahmatul lil alameen, as a mercy to the entire creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya Rabbal Alameen, despite our wrongdoings, we find ourselves on the day of Yawm al-Jumu'ah. Despite our neglectfulness to your commandments, you gave us the strength and the ability to find ourselves in your house. Despite our laziness, Ya Rabbal Alameen, you granted us to be Muslims. And the greatest favor that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed upon a servant is for him to say the kalima La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I do thank the committee for allowing me to come speak to you. It is a great honor. And I like to go to new masajid because I meet new people. I meet new personalities. Well, I like to meet new Buddhas, as they would say. And this masjid looks, very small and warm. Everybody look like they know one another. MashaAllah. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that this masjid be a masjid that grant our young people to become successful. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. And the success of our young people, it is only through good advice and good role models from the parents. And sometimes it becomes difficult for a mother or a father to display good models before their children, because our mind is deluded in this world. And that's why we come on the day of Yawm al-Jumu'ah to remind ourselves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to remind ourselves of our objective, to remind ourselves of our purpose, to remind ourselves of acting upon the sunnah. So a believer, he finds himself lost, and he finds a reminder for him being lost. By way of example, we have a yearly reminder. Who can tell me what is the yearly reminder? Anybody? Ramadan, mashallah. Everybody got that wrong. Mashallah. So the month of Ramadan is the yearly reminder. Then you have a weekly reminder. What's the weekly reminder? Jumu'ah. What's the daily reminder? Your salah. So a believer finds himself lost, but then Allah reminds that believer. And what does Allah say in the Quran? That a reminder is good for a believer. But in our time, the 21st century, we don't take reminders as being good for us. What do we say? Don't judge me. Don't judge me. You also sin. We all sin. We're not Anbiya alayhi salam. Only the Anbiya is ma'asum. We all sin. But we are reminders for one another, so that we can become successful in the Rabbul Alameen. And we see this all on social media. Maybe there's one brother that found hidayah in the month of Ramadan. So now we know this guy, he parties, he drinks, he's with women. After the month of Ramadan, now he was no shaykh. Now he's posting about the reminders of Allah. Then we will still get that egotistic mindsets. You can't judge me. You were doing it last month. That's not the point, Jamad al-Muslimin. The point is that we are neighbors to one another. And if we want to be neighbors on this dunya and neighbors of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam on the day of Yawm al-Qiyamah, then we need to remind one another. We need that reminder. And Allah Ta'ala grants us that reminder. So in my day, I might forget about my Lord Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then we hear the calling of the adhan. What is the calling of the adhan? Hayya ala salah. Come to salah. Why do I come to salah? Hayya ala al-falah. Because therein is success for you. And then we have today as our weekly reminder. Holistically, it is to tell you and I our objective in this life. Why have I been created? And this is where I want to get to. But before getting to why I was created, we have to work around framework. And our framework is the heart. Purification of the heart. And sometimes this is very neglectful in a life of a believer. And it is one of the phenomena of this religion that it is a fundamental. Did we hear the hadith of Jibreel? Anybody knows the hadith of Jibreel? When Jibreel alayhi salam comes into Masjid Nabawi. The Sahaba report, they saw a man with white clothing, black hair. He had no traces of travel. No one knows him. He comes to sit against the knees of Rasulullah. And he asked the Prophet ﷺ 4 questions. What is Islam? What is Iman? What is Islam? What is Ihsan? And the signs of the day of Yawm al-Qiyamah. And when Jibreel alayhi salam left, the Prophet ﷺ asked the Sahaba, do you know who's that? And they said, no, Ya Rasulullah, you would know best. And he said, that is Jibreel alayhi salam. He came to teach you your religion. But the phenomenon that I want to touch on is Ihsan, excellence, perfection. Where does Ihsan come from? When Jibreel alayhi salam asked the Rasul sallam, Akhbirni anil ihsan. Tell me about Ihsan. The Prophet sallam said, Ihsan is to worship Allah as you can see Him. And if you cannot see Him, know that He can see you. So how do I say Allahu Akbar, seeing my Lord Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Because seeing Allah does not involve with the physical eye. Seeing Allah involves with the eye of the heart. So if my heart is darkened, if my heart is faulty, if my heart has fitna in, backbiting, thinking bad of one another, thinking of people, always lying, always cheating, how can I say Allahu Akbar and seeing my Lord Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So that is why the Prophet ﷺ said, it is to worship Allah as though you can see Him. So we are not on the level of seeing Allah, but we need to at least be on the level where we worship Allah, knowing that Allah can see us. Question comes in your head. Oh, I would want you to think about this. When I woke up this morning for Fajr, everybody woke up for Fajr? Everybody? I know it's this January, silly season. 4 o'clock is a bit, it's tough. I'll give you a remedy to that one. Don't go sleep at night. Go sleep after Fajr. Because you are at home, so you don't miss Salah. You'll wake up before the word, inshallah. And your wife will definitely wake up because she wants to go out. But when I woke up this morning for Fajr, did I get a thought in my mind that Allah can see me? Did I get a thought in my mind when I woke up? Allahumma bismika amuntu wa ahya. Did we read our dua? This might sound silly to some and not silly to others. Reason being, it is our mindset and our perspective of life that causes us to dwell on this world as ibadullah, as servants of Allah. Right? Because we have a wife, for example. Our mindset tells us that she's in love with me. And because of that mindset, I would buy her flowers. I'm going to be good to her. My mindset tells me, my children loves me. I'm a role model to them. So I'm going to act out in a particular manner. Right? So it is the perception we have in ourselves that causes us to react in a particular manner. So that's why if our perception of Allah is always watching us don't you think we would be afraid to steal? We would be afraid to lie? We would be afraid to cheat? We would be afraid to oversleep for Fajr? We would be afraid to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So it is all in the framework of your perspective of your Lord Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's a story of a pious man. He says there was someone that was disobedient. He came into the masjid. And he heard the Imam saying that you need to have a good opinion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the man passed away. And he came on the day of Yawm al-Qiyamah. And the Malaika is ready to punish him. And Allah stops the Malaika. Because the man had a claim. He said to Allah that, oh Allah, I heard the Imam speaking in the masjid saying that if you have a good opinion of Allah, then that good opinion of Allah becomes your reality. And my good opinion, oh Allah, was that you would never punish me. And Allah Ta'ala tells the Malaika, put him into Jannah because his opinion of me was good, so I'm going to be good to you. So ask ourselves, did I wake up this morning with a good opinion of my Lord? Did I wake up with the opinion that my Lord has allowed me to open my eyes for another day to turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? 80% we didn't. We didn't think about that this morning. We were waking up, I'm tired, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty. What to do today? These are normal things to think about. That's why we come here to remind ourselves that tomorrow morning, I'm going to wake up with the thought of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wallahi azim Jamad al-Muslimin. The pious predecessors, they said, the time in the morning is a very sacred time. So if I can't wake up for tahajjud, I'm going to wake up for Fajr, but I'm still lazy to make Fajr. But there's going to come a time in your life when you're going to start making Fajr. But the Salihin, they encourage Muslims just to be awake at the hour of Fajr. Just be awake. You don't have to make Salah, don't read Quran, just be awake. And feel breeze of the rahmat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But what are we doing at that time? We're sleeping. But the morning in the life of a believer is where Allah Ta'ala gives you the energy for your day. There was a pious scholar, Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah. In the morning when he awoke, he used to go sit on the riverbank and he used to say the name of Allah. His students asked him, Ya Shaykhana, why do you do this? Where does this habit come from? He said, this is my breakfast. If I don't do this, I cannot carry on my day. So what is our breakfast? Spiritually. We have no spiritual breakfast. And then we ask ourselves, why am I so laxy-daisy? Why am I so far away? Why am I so despondent? Because my spirituality is not being fed. And how do I feed my spirituality? It is not the whole time Allah, 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 reading Quran. No. We're doing baby steps. Just think about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As much as you think about your girlfriend, the young ones. Right? Think about Allah. And you will see Allah Ta'ala paving your way through this life to become successful. Ameen Rabbil Alameen. So with having that in mind of the heart, being connected and having a good thought and a good feeling for Allah. Why am I here? وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ إِنِّي جَائِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. That Allah says to the Malaika, Allah Ta'ala is going to put a Khalifa on this earth. What is a Khalifa? A representative of Allah. By way of example, if I have to stand in front of a mirror and I ask myself the question, am I truly a representative of Allah? Or what would be the conclusion? No. Personally, if I had to look in the... Ik like look. Right? Because our thought is our appearance. But what does the Prophet ﷺ say about this appearance? The Prophet ﷺ said, Allah does not look at your form and your positions, but Allah looks at your heart and your good deeds. So what do I place in front of the mirror? The first thing that came to our mind is our looks. Am I gebouw? Am I fat of all the acne? Right? That's the first thing that came to mind. So obviously you're going to say, no, I'm not a representative of Allah. But if you had to put your heart and your good deeds before a mirror and you had to weigh them with your bad deeds, then you would find that I am a representative of Allah. Then you would find that I am qualified to be a representative of Allah, because Allah would have never given you the hidayah to say La ilaha illallah if you cannot be a representative of Allah. So you are ibadullah. We are ibadullah. But what causes me not to think that I'm ibadullah is because I don't think of Allah. I worry about what Fatima is saying on Facebook, what Bridget is saying at work, what Muhammad is saying about my hair and my makeup and my dance moves on TikTok. That is my opinion of myself. So that's why I'm distracted with Allah. But if I woke up, I'm washing my body because I want to beautify myself for my Lord, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm leaving this house to provide provision for my family, and Allah gave me that as amana. Don't you think Allah will ease the way for you? So it's mindsets, Habibana. It is how I think of Allah, my perspective. So Allah places us on this world as a Khalifa, as a representative. So what do the angels tell? Allah gave them this instruction. وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً قَالُوا أَتَجْعَلُ فِيهَا مَن يُفْسِدُ فِيهَا وَيَسْفِكُ دِمَاءَ Ya Rabb, are you going to place people on the earth that is going to cause corruption and they're going to cause bloodshed? What do we see on the news? People killing one another. Leave the news in our areas. Alright? Cape Town, the highest rate in the world of killing. Worse than Iraq and Afghanistan. People are down here more every day by gangsterism and drugs. We see it. But it's glad tidings, Jamad Muslimin. So there's a three-way conversation. Allah places us as a representative on this earth. If we have to weigh our good deeds, we are the representative. But we find people causing corruption, causing bloodshed. Then what do Allah tell the malaika? قَالَ إِنِّي أَعْلَمُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. That I know what you do not know. And what do Allah say? أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنِ. Don't you ponder over the verses of Allah? So if the malaika is telling Allah that they're going to cause corruption and they're going to cause bloodshed, and we already glorify you and we already worship you, Allah says that you don't know what I know. Relax, you don't know what I know. What do Allah know? That there is going to come a time in a believer's life where he is going to become ibadullah. He is going to become successful. Why? These are all glad tidings for you and I. How is it glad tidings? Imam al-Haddad, he says in Risalatul Mu'awinah, Allah is so merciful that if we had to sin with our hands, Allah don't remove our hand. If we sin with our feet, Allah don't remove that feet. If we sin with our eyes, Allah don't remove that eyes. Why? Because Allah is so merciful that Allah Ta'ala knows there's going to come a time in the life of this fulan, that same man that he used to steal with, he's going to give sadaqah. That same feet he used to walk to haram with, he's going to walk to the masjid. And Allah makes himself known to us by what attribute in the Quran? Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. That Allah is the most merciful, especially merciful. So Allah is making himself aware to us as being merciful. So Jamad Muslimin, with this being said, we ask Allah Ta'ala to grant us a good perspective. We ask Allah Ta'ala to grant us the strength and the ability to act as a representative of Allah. And we need to have less concern of what others think about us and more concern about what Allah thinks about us. Because that face that the female is placing makeup on, the male using all these type of products to make him look mashallah, on the day of Yawm al-Qiyamah, wujuhun yawma idhin nadhira ila rabbiha nadhira. They will be looking at the Lord with shining faces. Is not going to be the makeup you're using now. No, it is going to be the nur of your a'malu salihat. So we need to ask ourselves today, how much of a'mal, how much of good deeds am I doing in my life? that would allow my face to shine bright on the day of Yawm al-Qiyamah. Because that Nur Jamaatul Muslimin will be recognized by Rasulullah. It will be recognized by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. When the Prophet sallam seeing the believers going to Jahannam, Rasulullah kept one dua that is accepted. And that dua on the day of Yawm al-Qiyamah will be used, that Ya Rabbana, that is my followers. I'm using this dua as an intercession, put me into Jannah, and Allah Ta'ala will cause all those believers to enter into Jannah. Jamaatul Muslimin, may Allah allow us to be of them. May Allah Ta'ala allow us to be the pillars of this deen. May Allah Ta'ala allow our children to grow up as good Muslims. May Allah Ta'ala allow that we educate ourselves of our Lord Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, because we know more of other things than our own Creator. If I have to ask you, what are the 20 attributes of Allah? We don't know. Give me the features of Rasulullah. We don't know. But we expect that we must go to Jannah. We expect that we must go to Jannah. Sayyid Abdul Qadir Al-Jilani, he said that loves only come after recognition. Love only comes after knowing someone. Do we love Allah? I'm speaking, Jamad. Do we love Allah? We love Allah. Yes. We are in love with the idea of loving Allah, but we are not truly in love with Allah. Because had we been in love with Allah, in reality, we have never found corruption in this world. But Jamaatul Muslimin, Allah Ta'ala created us weak. And Allah Ta'ala created a remedy. And what is that remedy? لا يخزي الله النبي والذين آمنوا معه. That on the day of Yawm al-Qiyamah, that person won't grieve. Who is this person? That believes in Allah and that is with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us a good life. Is my time up? 2 more minutes. There's a lot to say in 2 more minutes. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant success. There's one more point that I want to bring across to you. We're in the year 2023. Right? Everybody got their New Year's resolutions. And what I've been telling you now, or telling myself, is that this year we need to become good people. And we're already good people. We are good people. We just need to tell that to ourselves. And we will be that. But my main focus and my priority that I carry with a heavy heart is our young children. And the danger that they are experiencing within society, Jamaatul Muslimin. We see people today being with the same sex. That's number 1 on the list. Jamaatul Muslimin, what our children is learning in school, we need to find a better solution to that education, because our government is not going to change that education. We need to change that education for them. Our children are being taught how to have sexual intercourse at a young age using rubbers. Our children are being taught about drugs and gangsterism on the school. The friends they hang out with, they might look like angels, they might look like Jibreel and Mikael in front of us, but when they leave our doors, they're different people. We need to involve ourselves in their life, Jamaatul Muslimin. Although it might not be happening to our children here today, it's happening to someone else's children. And we need to protect our young people, Jamaatul Muslimin. The Prophet ﷺ said that there are 7 people that will have the shade of Allah on the day of Yawm al-Qiyamah. And one of those 7 people is a young person that is connected to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Connect your children to this house. Connect your children to programs where Allah is mentioned. Connect your children to a dhikr group. Connect your children to a Islamic society. We have to educate our children to be the role models of tomorrow. Ameen Rabbil Alameen. Leave the idea of building a future for your child, and gain the idea of building your child for that future. Ameen Rabbil Alameen. And may our children be among those who is going to enter into Jannah with Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein. Ameen Rabbil Alameen. May Allah Ta'ala accept our Jumu'ah this afternoon. Jazakumullah khairan for allowing me to gather with you. May I come again inshallah. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a liquor festive season. Be safe. Right? They say don't drink and drive. So can Allah. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillah rabbil alamin. What is it?